crazy. I go. Everything I do it with a passion. If I gotta be.
These crazy kids at my door. Oh, a high five.
But you said in the school, just like when you said you are crazy in the school.
You're crazy.
I'm not crazy.
Yes, you are. Look at you, crazy.
Tell 'em. I go crazy. Crazy. I go crazy.
What's up, YouTube? I'm back with another video. I know y'all are like, yo, last time we seen you, you cut your hair and now you got braids. Okay, let me tell you. I was gonna wear my hair out. It was cute, but Sunday came and it was time to do a twist out. And your girl was like, I ain't doing no twist out this week. And so I was thugging it, and then it was looking real rough. And then I was like, oh, I can't do this. I need some braids. And so I got some braids because I was looking crazy. It was sad. And I know y'all are like, yo, it's been a month since you posted a video. Like, where have you been? I've been fasting. I started a fast in March, fasting from all my social media, so my Snapchat, my Twitter, and my Instagram, because I just felt like I was spending way too much time just trying to keep track of who's doing what are y'all doing, trying to like promote for my YouTube page, and it's really not that big. I've been focusing on teaching because I really needed God's guidance, y'all. Like, I needed some help teaching because my babies, oh my gosh. I got a range of different students with different strengths and abilities, and so I had to really focus in and give them all that I have. And so I finally reached it. It's the end of term. We have 2 days left and your girl is almost done grading. This video is going to be about my first year teaching, the first term of the first school year, teaching in South Africa. And y'all, I'm trying to tell you, it's not easy, but it does have its good days, and then in between there, you'll get by, you'll make it to the weekend, okay? So for those of you who don't know, I live in a small village in South Africa, and my school has about 110 kids in it, max. And my classroom has about 30 kids in it, but it is multi-grade teaching, and so I'm teaching grade 4 and grade 5. Now, grade 5 speaks a little bit of English, but grade 4, most of them do not really speak too much English because this is their first English class. So up until now, all the classes have been spoken into in their home language, like their native language. My school's home language is Sepedi. And so up until grade 4, the kids have learned in Sepedi this whole time, and then they took a little bit of English class. So I am their first legit English teacher, and they have to spend an hour with me, and I have to differentiate, and I don't know. I be trying. I mean, I do my best. Let's start with classroom management, because that's where it all starts. Like, classroom management is like the foundation of how your classroom is going to run. So when I first walked into the classroom, I was like, okay, this is not so bad. I got about 30 kids in there, 15. That's not bad. The kids, they do talk, but it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So the first thing, me and my counterpart, we talked about different classroom management skills that I could use, different things. And we came up with this policy that it was a STAR policy. And so each class, you know how you have like block schedule, and for each teacher, they would give a group a star for if they did their homework, if they were on task. And I thought that would work really well, but it ended up me being the only teacher that was starting off my classroom. And so initially we started off as a competition between grade 4 and 5 and grades 6 and 7. And so whoever got the best, whoever got the most stars by the end of 2 weeks would get a giant star in their classroom. But that ended up falling off after like the first 2 weeks. So I decided to do a policy for myself and for my own classroom, just so I can have some sanity and so the kids will understand this is our goal that we're trying to reach. So I started them off with like a thermometer kind of, and it had 10 blocks on it for every day throughout the school week. And if they behaved, I would shade it in. If they would behave, I would shade it in. If they would behave, I would shade it in. But the difficult thing that started coming up in the classroom for me was being called out of class, whether it was for workshops, whether I was traveling with different students, going to like the sports events that they had. And so I ended up being out of class a lot with this term. I want to say I was at least out of class at least 6-7 days. And so it was crazy because it was over a course of like 2 weeks where it was like back to back to back to back, where I was being caught out of class. And so I was shaded in even if I wasn't there, just so we can keep track of how well they're doing. And then by week 8 we had to start giving our exams and turning in our work. And so these past 2 weeks I haven't taught my kids anything. So really I had like an 8-week term minus like the first 2 weeks, because it was mainly me testing them and getting to know them and then being caught out of class. So if you're being honest, I really didn't teach. But I did teach, but I didn't teach. And so classroom management, I had to get them into like a routine. Also, I don't let my kids interrupt me while I'm teaching. And so if they have to use the bathroom, either they'll wait till the end when we're starting our coursework, or they hold up 2 fingers. And this means I have to use the bathroom. Can I go? Without interrupting me and without talking during the middle of class. And so I'll just give them a head nod and they'll go ahead and leave the classroom. They have 2 to 3 minutes to get back, or they're not going to the bathroom again. We also do water, 3 fingers for water, and that's about it so far. I'm trying to figure out better better things that I can implement into the classroom, but I'm a first year teacher, so I'm trying. So my goal for this school year is to get my kids into a routine of like the classwork that I want to do. And so I'll give them I started off with them reading and comprehension because that's what I really wanted to focus on. I want them to be at a decent reading level, because if you can read, you can write. If you can read, then you can write. And so I feel like that was the foundation of everything that I was trying to start off with. And so immediately the first week I was testing them to see, where are you at? What reading level are you at? What grade level can you read at? And what kind of work what kind of work can I give to you and expect for you to be able to complete it correctly? And so this 10 weeks, I found out a lot about my kids. I found out who are my higher learners, who are my lower learners, who needs some remedial work done, who needs to be challenged a little bit more. And I use my higher learners to help me with my lower learners. So the kids that I need to speak in home language for them, I use my higher learners to code switch for them. And so I'll say something in English for the whole class to hear. And if I feel like they didn't hear it, I'll have some of my higher learners go back and say, hey, can you say the instructions in Sepedi for them? Or if I see that they're starting to understand something, I'll be like, okay, well, can you explain to the other kids in Sepedi how to do this? And that's been working really, really well for me. I also, for my reading comprehension, I give my kids the same worksheet to fill out. So the worksheet has like characters, setting, plot, problem, solution, and then on the back I'll have them do the beginning, middle, and end, and you do 3 pictures at the top, and then you write 3 sentences at the bottom for each beginning, middle, and end. And so that's been working really, really well with me. I had some problems with my kids understanding what the solution was, but I think that if I continue to use the same worksheets, they'll understand what I'm expecting from them to pull from the text, and I'll be able to get better answers. And so I'm gonna go, and I want to tell you a success story that I really had with my learners. And this was during our writing and presenting. Like, I was working with my kids on how to write a paper, what to put in the paper, what exactly am I expecting, especially if we're doing like personal recounts. We were working on personal recounts. And so my kids were struggling with understanding what I was trying to tell them to do, even my higher learners. And so I taught them 2 days in a row, and I told them the first day I taught them the different processes, and I started with I made this giant pencil. I showed my learners this writing process, and I was going to start them doing it step by step the whole week. So that was the plan. I started on Thursday with my lesson just to get the kids in the flow of it. I knew it was kind of strange for me to start on a Thursday with a new lesson, but I wanted to start them off as soon as possible because I know the writing process takes time, especially since we were getting to the end of the semester. And they haven't went over the writing process yet. And so I started them off with planning. We spent the whole day on planning. I told them that I wanted them to do mind maps. I drew examples of it. I posted 8 different questions from the mind map that I want them to answer, and then I gave them an example all together of how to actually plan this mind map. By the time I finished that, by the time the kids finished writing notes, it was the end of the class period, and so it was time to move on. I told them to take this home, and I gave them a topic that I wanted them to do, a time I was surprised. And I posted, like, they had the examples, they had everything they needed, but it was up to them, or it was up to the if they understood or not. So I told them to take it home from homework. I got back to class the next day. I was looking over the work, and I was looking, I'm like, grade 4, you don't really get it. Then I'm going through grade 5. I'm like, okay, grade 5 doesn't get it. I need to do this again. So the next day, I went over this again on Friday, showing them the different examples. I used the topic that they had. And so I was trying my best to break it down as smoothly as possible for them to understand without speaking too quickly and without using any vocabulary they wouldn't understand. And so I really did try to break it down for them. I had some learners get it, but still my classroom was struggling. And so over the weekend, I was praying, y'all. I was like, I hope my babies get this. If they don't get this, I was really feeling like a failure. So Monday came, and I started looking over their work again. I'm like, okay, my grade 4 students are really struggling with this, which is okay because I don't even think personal recounts are in their curriculum at the beginning. It's definitely not at the beginning, but it was definitely in grade 5. And so if I could teach them in grade 4 what I need them to do in grade 5, then it will be great. And so I did get some of my grade 4 learners to understand what I was doing, but it took a lot of work. And so on Monday, I came into class. I was looking at everybody's work. I'm like, okay, you still don't get it. You still don't get it. You need some help. And then I had some students that were ready to move on to drafting, but I'm not going to move on without the whole class. Like 2 or 3 people will not, make me continue to move on. So I had about 30 minutes left in my class period, and I asked my counterpart, so it's me and another English teacher at the school. I asked my counterpart, can you please come to my classroom and teach my lesson in Sepedi for my kids so they can understand? And she was like, oh, what are you teaching? I'm teaching about mind mapping and this and that and just the writing process. And she was like, okay. She came into my classroom, y'all, and she did that lesson in Sepedi. When I tell you, I was sitting at the desk and I was like, thank you, Jesus, for a counterpart who can help me, who ain't gonna let me be out here struggling, who gonna look out for the girl, and I'm gonna look out for her, like whatever she needs. If she needs anything, I'm down for it. But my counterpart definitely came in. She taught my lesson in 30 minutes, and the kids started working. I sat in there for an extra class period with my kids because I wanted to see who can do it, who was picking up on this, And the next day I came in, I looked over their work. Some of my kids did get it. I still had some kids that were struggling with mind maps. So the next day, I made a list. I brought all their books in the office. I made a list of all the kids whose mind map wasn't done correctly. I brought them to the front of the classroom. Then I moved the other kids to the back of the classroom. I said, y'all can work on drafting. I put an outline on what kind of drafting I want. Put who there, put when there, put the weather there. Like, I made a full outline so my kids could actually do it successfully without having to worry about just, I had some kids that were able to just start writing and form the sentences correctly, and then I had some kids who needed that outline to guide them to put these there, put that there. Like, you take it directly from your mind map and you plug it right into the outline. Like, I made it just that easy for my kids. So I moved my kids that were struggling, I moved them to the front of the classroom, and then I moved my kids who were able to complete the assignment, I moved them to the back, and then from there, I asked some of my higher learners who I knew could complete the assignment quickly to come over and to help me with all my learners that were struggling. And so we spent the whole classroom. It started off with just 3 girls. 3 girls came over, and they were just helping them, speaking in Sepedi, helping them do their outline, asking the right questions in Sepedi. And so it really worked really, really good. Then as soon as some of my other kids got done drafting, they came over. I had some boys get up, and they were really like helping. They were really talking their friends through it. They were really trying to explain to them, and I was so proud because it was some grade 4 learners stepping up and trying to help another grade 4 learner or another grade 5 learner that was struggling. And so it was a beautiful sight to be a teacher and be able to edit papers, be able to go back and bring some students up to the desk and sit down with them. It was walking around, observing, and know who could do what. And so focusing on language structures, when I was working with them, I started off with teaching them about nouns and subject, verb, object, identify the subject, identify the verb, identify the object. When I was teaching them nouns, when I was teaching them verbs, when I was teaching them adjectives, I focused on that because I wanted them to understand, like, this is the part of the sentence. This is what I'm asking you for. And so when I'm reading your writing and I'm telling you to put in more adjectives, describe to me what happened. Tell me this. Tell me that. I want more detail. I want you to pull out more stuff for me. And so I realized, like, okay, my kids are struggling to understand the difference between a noun, verb, adjective. Like, so I made up songs for them. When I introduced the topics, I made up a song for it. We have a verb song. A verb is a word. It's the actual word. If you could do it, then you do it. It's a verb. And so the kids loved it because they were like, yo, is she rapping right now? Like, what is that? And so it really pushed them to learn about verbs. And so I'm like, a verb is a word. It's an action word. If you could do it, then you do it. It's a verb. Jump, 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 jump. A verb is a word. It's an action word. If you could do it, then you do it. It's a verb. And we would continue on to do that for the whole day I'm in class. When I introduced adjectives, I did, today I don't feel like describing anything. Do-do-do-do-do-do, I just wanna leave nouns alone. Do-do-do-do-do-do, don't feel like telling what kind, how many, or which ones, because today I swear I'm not describing anything. Nothing at all. Not happy, not pretty, not small, nothing at all. Not 5, not lucky, not tall, nothing at all. And so I made my kids learn these songs, and it was a hit. I'm in class and I'm saying, oh, what's a verb? The kids are like, a verb is a word. It's an action word. If you could do it, then you do it. It's a verb. And so that's one way they remember it. And so when I ask them, what is a verb? They can tell me what a verb is. So a few things that I struggled with this semester or this term was just me. So when I first got to South Africa, people would always tell me, like, you speak very fast. You speak very fast and your accent is strong, and so you're gonna have to work on slowing down and saying things very slowly so that the kids can hear you, especially working with grade 4. This is their first English class, and so I have to practice slowing down what I'm saying, repeating it, and being very vocal. Like, it's a must. Like, I don't have a choice. If I want my kids to be successful in what they do, then I have to slow down. I have to speak clearly. I have to articulate my words. So let's get into these last few weeks of testing, okay? So originally my district or my circuit didn't have standardized tests for elementary or primary school students, and so the teachers would have to get together and we would create our own test, and then from that test we would give it to all the grade 4, all the grade 5, depending on which test that you created. And so I met with a group of teachers from different schools, and we created this test, and I was like, my kids, they might not perform well on this. Can your kids do this? And they were like, I mean, all of grade 4 everywhere is struggling. We're all doing the same thing. They have Sepedi for home language until grade 3, and then grade 4, they come in and they're supposed to know English some kind of way. So like, their workbooks were too advanced for them. It was crazy. But we made up this test, and I was like, I don't know if my kids are going to perform well on this test. And they were like, we'll start teaching the test. I'm like, I'm not about to teach them the test. I'm not. Sorry, but I'm not. We got other stuff to do. And so what ended up happening was the circuit office sent out like a mass email saying that they were starting to do standardized tests and they were going to pass out this test. Yeah. When I got this test, it was some trash. I was like, yo, I couldn't believe the test. I was like, what did I say? Like, I just didn't know. So I did end up giving it to my kids, but I gave them a study guide, and I told them, I said, you can come to my house over the weekend and I will go over anything that you want to go over. I will help you study. I will be here all weekend just for you. And so I might have had like 6-7 kids show up. The rest of them came and they didn't perform well on the exam, and I stopped grading it after a while. I was like, I can't do this because some of this stuff my kids did not learn, and some of this stuff it just didn't apply. Then when the answer sheets came in, they were not even the right answer sheets, and so I don't even know. I just stopped using it. Like, I just stopped looking at the test period, and I made up my own exams for my kids. I gave them I looked at their classwork to give them grades for their task 1s, and then for their testing task, their task 2 in term 1, I made up different exams that I wanted them to do. I did reading comprehension, which was the same worksheets that we've been working on. Their writing process, I used that final paper for their final grades. And I did read alouds, where I would check their fluency, their posture, their volume, and I did listening and speaking, where I would tell them a certain direction, like touch your nose, touch your ears, jump up and down, step back. And some of my kids struggled with hearing me say certain things, and then some of them just didn't know. But some of my kids did extremely well, and I think that most of my kids passed. I do have some lower learners, but it's still the beginning of the term, and so I honestly do believe that every child has an opportunity to be promoted this semester. But that's up to the child and how hard they're willing to work. And so, yeah. I also made some reading comprehension papers of just things that I wanted them to talk about, things that I wanted them to understand. So I gave them a reading passage about me and how I wanted to build a library at their school. My kids did extremely well because they understood what was going on. They understood the names. They understood the setting. Okay. But when I gave them a different story from like one of their books or something like that, they struggled a little bit more. But so I probably will continue to write their reading passages because I know where my kids are and I know what they understand. But also I need to challenge them a little bit more and take those reading passages and bring those into our reading comprehension area. So some things that I really do want to improve on this semester or next term, I want to start remedial classes, whether that's before school or after school, working with some of my lower learners so they can get up to grade level on where they are supposed to be. The thing about this is I have a lot of the parents' support on things that I do. I have parents coming up to me, so how is my kid doing? Or how is so-and-so doing? You know, he's my sister's son, but we're all family, and so I definitely want to know. And I'm like, this student is doing this way, this student is doing that. But for the most part, most of my students are doing good, especially with having a teacher that only speaks English. Okay, so I hope y'all forgive me for this lighting right now, but I took a little nap because I had to go to sleep because the kids were stressing me out. They was all outside my window just playing and stuff like that, and I was like, no. But I really hope this video helped you to understand like what a life or an education volunteer is in South Africa. I also hope this video helps you if you're planning to apply for Peace Corps. I'm a first-year teacher. I have really no experience teaching, but you will definitely build your confidence, especially if you have a supportive staff, a supportive community, and your kids are willing to work. Every day in Peace Corps is not going to be an easy day. I cannot sit here and say that it is, because some days I come back home and I'm just like, I'm about to lock myself in my room. But every day is always going to be a learning experience, and so definitely do not give up on the idea of being a teacher. Do not give up on the idea of being a Peace Corps volunteer. Definitely worth it.